everyone. I'm live, but I've got things a little mixed up, so give me a minute here. Oh, here I am. I was on the wrong, I had the wrong video up, the wrong video in selected in YouTube, and so it took me a while to figure out what was going on. I didn't think anyone was in class because I was on the wrong class. So, can you all hear me and see me? It's been quite a day. You'll notice I have a different background because I realized it was 1 o'clock and I still hadn't even set up my computer in the correct room. So I'm in my living room right now. And I'm a little bit not sure what I'm doing, I guess. Okay, great, Janella. Hi. And Tatting Muse. Your name is on the tip of my tongue and it won't come out. I can't. So I'm sorry, my brain isn't working this morning. But good afternoon, Tatting Muse. Oh, it's you, Katia. I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm envying you right now, Katia, because you're not going to start classes back until January, and I'm thinking that's probably what I should have done, even though I'm not changing channels or doing anything. I'm really excited for you that you're going to be starting your own channel and be affiliated with the classes. I hope that works out really well for you. It works fine for me, and although I'm not going for a huge audience, and I think you're probably going to be building your channel up really wonderfully well, teaching needle tatting. I decided rather than texture or talking about any of the elements and principles or anything today that since it's a holiday season for so many of us that I'm just going to start with celebrating some color. And you can probably tell I'm not having a good couple days this week. Night before last, I only got 4 hours of sleep. Last night, I did get almost 8, but I'm having such a bad time with my GERD and acid reflux. Great. That sounds great, Katia. That I'm having to start sleeping half sitting up. I've gotten my pillows, found a good configuration for them. I don't have one of those pillows you can buy because I tried one once and the angle just, I can't sleep on it at all. So I use my pillows to get myself propped up from my waist up. And so I'm half sitting and I'm not quite used to sleeping that way again. I've done it many times before because I have Barrett's esophagus, which means my um, muscle, sphincter muscle at the top of my stomach does not close properly. It never closes fully. So I always have, if I'm not paying attention to what I'm eating and how much I'm eating at a time and what I'm eating before I go to bed at night, I have a horrible time. And that's what I'm going through right now. So I found, I didn't realize I have You'll notice one of the links is to Mountain Gems. I've used the Mountain Gem website for years and years, and that's where I bought a lot of my beads. I did not know until I found um, Carolyn's document. Oh, it has to be open. Let me see. I've got to find it here again. I put it in the links, and I don't know what I've got everything all mixed up this morning. I've got, oh, here it is. Carolyn Groves. I'm going to put it on screen. Her document about tatting in color. And I think this is quite an old document from years ago. And she talks about tatting in color. How do both of you feel about color? I know you've been in my classes before, so Janella, and you have two Katias. How do you feel your background in color is? Do you feel there's a lot you'd like to learn yet? I have a feeling that there are people very interested who watch just the replays and don't come to class in person. Um, and this is a really nice document just to get a little simple overview of some color ideas. And she talks about how a complex pattern may look more dramatic done in a solid color, whereas a variegated thread may blur the pattern. And that's so true. And this, um, I don't know, it looks like a doily to me, like the size of a doily rather than just a little motif medallion, like the top two. Really has made a good use of a variegated color because there's only the two colors. So you really get the effect of the variegated colors because it's not mixed in with other colors that might really overpower the look of this variegated. And especially the way she's used the variegated in the very center. Um, Let me really zoom in on that. Really works well. Have either of you seen this document before? Looked at it? This is a nice way to use a variegated. When you get up close, you can even see the uh, light purples in it. There's very little of it, and it doesn't show much in the outer edge. Now, there is a ring right up at the top here, but you can see that in the rest of them, that light purple. Oh, you don't feel like you know much about color, Janella? Oh, or I'm sorry, you haven't seen the document before. Yeah, I hadn't either, and must be Tammy had put it up on the site, and I hadn't didn't realize it was there. And I think, and what I want to mention about the color, I think it's it. I don't know if you agree, but I think it's gorgeous. And the nice thing about this center one is by really grouping it, it looks like the um, light purple or violet is such a small amount compared to the amount of blues and the white in the variegated that it doesn't show much if it's just tatted in a round like the outside round. But you can really see it when there's been a thick area of it repeated. Yes, it does. Okay, okay, that sounds great, Katia. Yeah, it does. It does give more depth. And it really shows up even in this one because the color of the center motif, especially being such a dense area of chains together, really emphasizes the colors in it. And I think it's dark, it comes forward more against the white. The, the variegated color does. Same pattern to show the differences. Okay. Yeah, that'll be great. It's funny how coincidences like that this happened where I'm talking about color and come up with a doily like this when you're actually working on a couple to show the difference. This pattern too, I love how it's got some the negative spaces. I think really enhance the design. And repetition in here is great because you've got the chains around the motif. The white, the first row has those chains with the arc. And then the next row of spaces has a big arc around the area. And those two really um, provide consistency, I think, and a nice harmony for the eye. And then, of course, the arcs of the outside area. And that also has the negative space underneath the arcs. So it really enhances and harmonizes the entire pattern and makes it feel complete. The feeling of completeness in a design, um, when everything works together, the colors, the negative and positive space, the repetition, when it all works together, all those different elements, it really gives you a feeling of completion when you look at something. And like she said, often the colors on the round showcase the simplicity or complexity. And I think they do both. I mean, there is a both a complexity, especially in this white row, in contrast to the simplicity of the outer row, and really the simple look of the center motif. Long colors repeats work well in large projects. Now, some of these, to me, this one in the center is not as appealing as the others. I would have, for my personal preference, liked to have seen more harmonious colors, like color harmony, which is the like the one on the right. There's all different shades of green, and maybe there's even some blue in it, it looks like. And blues and greens are next to each other on the color wheel. And now this one actually is a harmonious color scheme here. This one is in the center is a more contrasting, and it's made up of the fully saturated rainbow colors out of the you get out of the rainbow. And while it's not to my taste, the colors actually work because they are all in the same saturation level, which means if you looked at a color wheel, these would all be on the same ring around, or the same, I guess I want to call it the ring, the same ring around the color circle. And I have a color circle here, and if you go to the um, Mountain Gems, I should still have that open on my page here. I just got to figure out which one because I didn't, here it is. I didn't even get these pages organized this morning. Now, I'm not on the first page, working with color, which you'll go to. Here's the working with color. Whoops, right here. Let me get it here. The basics of color. Here we go. Are the bookmarks needle tatted? Okay. This is a nice basics of color. Um, it doesn't get deep, deep into color, but it does have the basics. Um, and it talks first about the three main characteristics of color. And I'm going to zoom in on this even more. Now, what's interesting is that oftentimes the word hue is defined as, people say, well, it's the same as the word color, it means color. And that is true. Um, that's the common definition, or not definition, but the common way people tend to think of it. Um, Technically, hue and color are different because hue refers to a single color and it refers to colors on the color wheel. The fully saturated color, and the word color is more like the specific name of a color. Like you have a box of 64 crayons in a box, and each one has a specific name. And these names are like Crayola has its names that it gives colors. Another brand of crayons might give the same color a little different name because they're not specific names like the actual hues on the color wheel. Okay, I'm going to look back at the bookmark here. The rings on the bookmark are self-closing mock rings. Oh, that's okay. Going from the ring to the chain. Oh, I see. Yes, yes. Okay. That's a great observation. I hadn't even thought of that when I was looking at it. You are a designer. Katia, your mind works just like a designer's mind. And I wasn't even thinking about how it was put together as far as the techniques and all. Oh, she mentioned speeds, and I next semester I do want to start um, having us working with beads and talk about using beads in tatting. Um, and on that note, if anyone has a specific topic you want me to talk about when we come back in January, let me know. Send me an email, and we'll include that in our lessons. Like I said, I think beadwork is something, beads can give different shapes to areas. They can form um, corners. Beads can, and as well as just adding interest and beauty um, to your work. So there's not much in this document, but this does have, the first thing was Fire Mountain Gems. And I was surprised. I haven't looked at the others. I know there is one in here that goes back to the online tatting class, and that's the old site, so it needs to be taken. Here it is, down here. It needs to be taken off this document, which is something I will put on my little list to do and check the rest of the links too. So that's it on this particular document. I noticed that we don't have any other color documents in the on the web up on the website. So I'm going to have to do some looking to come up with more because I want to make color a continuing theme uh, throughout next semester as we're working. So let's go back. Oh, wonderful, Katia. Yeah, I'll be getting out the color wheels and using them in class too. So um, let's go back to the hue. In all of these, we'll talk later using the color wheel too. Value, measure the color's lightness and darkness, and which is, you'll often see a grayscale in articles on color and in art articles, and that goes from white with black added in to give you all the light and dark values. And so the value can be related to colors also. A color's vibrance and the amount of black that's added to a color, making it a tone. They have a value, a lightness and darkness value that will relate to the values on a grayscale value chart. Saturation, the relative brightness or dullness of a color, um, ranging from pure and intense to muted and subdued. And it involves the concepts like tints, tones, and shades. I just mentioned tones. And did I misspeak on what I said about the tone of a color and the values? Because shades are also dark values. And all of these, this is basically kind of a simple beginner overview, and all of these terms we'll be talking about as we go and study colored tatting samples. Color theory and the color wheel. Here's your color wheel. Now this one has yellow at the top, and that's not necessarily a placement that has to be this way with the color wheel with yellow at the top. Often you'll see it with red at the top. And the main difference is the way it slices up as far as warm and cool colors. And where your dividing line is the difference between warm and cool colors. And we'll be looking at a sample of that too. Here are color schemes, and you can read through these. This article doesn't have a whole lot, but it is interesting because as a beginning introduction, it gives the basic things without all kinds of other color things confusing the issue of color. And so we have our primary colors, yellow, blue, and red. If you mix two primaries together, you get your secondary colors, which are, yellow and red mixed together make orange. Blue and red make purple, which is pointing down. So these, if you move them over the top of there, start filling in, like right here. So you've got your, this one's over the top of that one. And now they've added in the tertiary colors, which is when you combine, like say the yellow with the orange, which will be right next to it, and you get a third color. As you can see, you've got a yellow and an orange, so it just gives you a little bit of a more orangey yellow. And here it lists all the color schemes. Now, for those of you who are new to color, this is a place to read over it, start to really get to understand it. We're going to have time off, and you're going to be able to have time to, just really, when you have a few minutes, when the holidays are getting too much, stop, open up one of this site or a document or something, and just kind of, not a document, I should say, um, open up a site and just put in, up in your bar, your address bar, put in color, the color and design. And you can come up with a lot of sites. If you find a really good one, let us all know. And just read a little bit about color so that when we start again in January, you'll have a basic background of color. Monochromatic schemes involve all the variations of a single color. So you'll have one color, say green, that's got all of its tints and tones and shades. And that's a very kind of a comforting, it's um, comforting color scheme. Analogous, those are colors, 3 or 4 colors right next to each other on the color wheel. Complementary are on the opposite each other. Now, an interesting about complementary, if you do any painting of any kind, and colors in each medium are a little bit different the way they work together and interact. Like the watercolors don't interact and react exactly like acrylics do or like oils do. Um, each one, because of the particular element properties of the paint, may combine a little differently. In school, we're always taught that, red and blue make green and all. But there are um, things that can affect it when you're talking about paint, because you wouldn't want to combine complementary colors with most colors of paint. If you combine them, you're going to get a brownish, muddy color. And that's where, when people are working with paints, they might come up with this muddy color and think, what in the heck is this? Why isn't this working? Well, pigments in paint, the opposites, almost kind of, um, they fight against each other, and together just will form a muddy color, a brownish or something, usually something you don't want. Split complementary, you've got 2 colors on the color wheel, and you go opposite, and the opposite color in between the two on the one side create the split complementary scene. You've got complements because these two are on the exact opposite side as the one over on the left, and it's just one color that is opposite, like the white space in between the 2 colors. So you go opposite the space in between the 2 colors. So you're splitting these up to get a split complement color. What I really thought was interesting too is that this article, Gems and Beads and Color Forecast, and if you click on that, you'll find they've even got the colors for the coming spring and summer 2025. And usually you're going to find that when any company or brand shows color trends, it goes back to the Pantone. It's all related to, whoops, I didn't even spell that. Pantone colors, and Pantone always has a color of the year. And this goes, there is a committee, an international committee that decides on what colors are going to be popular for the coming year or two. They actually work more than a year ahead of time. Sometimes I think they're working approximately 4 years ahead of time to decide what colors are going to be popular. And those colors are used by um, the majority of the world. That's why in any season that comes, you're going to see that there are colors that keep showing up everywhere. Um, Cars, automobiles are the one of the biggest that start showing up in the colors of the year that have been chosen by the this council for the to be the colors of the. There's a color of the year, and then there's colors for different seasons that go along with those. Um, and then you're going to start seeing the same colors in clothes, paint. All paint companies um, will go with that. Now, each of these brands will kind of use their own interpretations on which tints, tones, and shades of those main colors they're going to use and consider their color trend for that particular period. So it can be really interesting. I guess I'll take all coat of these. No, I don't want a contact. Um, and here's the color of the year. And Pantone is the main one that puts out this color of the year that everybody follows. Let's see if we can find. It used to be that you could color of the year 2025. Can we get to it? Something. It's like a lot of other sites. Some things you can get to, and sometimes you can't because you have to have a subscription. Zoom out a little. Mocha Mousse color palettes. I missed the whole beginning here. Oh, Mocha Mousse is the color of the year. That's interesting. It's almost looks here kind of a pinky beige. A brown that to me tends towards the pinky side. It's almost like a neutral color. That's going to be very interesting. Oh, here it is. And now look at the beautiful colors, though, that they're putting with it. This one way on the right here looks very like nature-like, earth-toned. Oops, that's going to require me to at least sign up or continue with Google or something. And I'm not going to do that right now. So anyway, this is the way our popular colors come about. every year. And let's see if there's one similar in here. Moose hide, that right there looks most similar. Cinnamon toast has another similar look. Here's fall winter 24-25. And this is the kind of site that you can find a lot of, um, well, the Pantone site, you can find all those color palette choices together. So picking colors out can be very easy, even without learning the color wheel, if you are on a site like Pantone, where it's showing you palettes that go together. Um, and some of the most of those had like about 9 colors in them, which you don't normally put in a design. Um, the same old theory of, you know, a primary color, a main, I should say, main color, to differentiate it from a primary, meaning a primary color like red, uh, blue, and yellow. Um, the main color you have the most of, then you'll have a second color, and then that is less, and then an accent color. Um, and I know I've mentioned in class before, one of the ways you can use a lot more, and I just mentioned it when we were looking at Carolyn's sheet about colors that are in the same ring on the color wheel. Because they are the same, um, like tone and value and shade all the way around, because of the way the color wheel is structured, those colors can work together when you're using more color. You can still stick an accent color in with them, and that just depends upon your design. The more complicated the tatting itself is, the design, the fewer colors you would want to use. Unless it's something, if it's got a consistency like rings of color, like a color wheel, you could have more colors. But to just have them mixed all in, your unless that is a particular goal of the entire thing, is to have you look at it and see like Mother Nature outside with all different colors or something like that. Um, you wouldn't want to use so many colors unless it's a very simple design, because it's just going to look muddled and there's not going to be the tatting elements themselves. None of the shapes are going to be highlighted. And so there wouldn't be anywhere for your eye to focus if you're using too many colors. A person would probably feel very much disoriented and just not like something like that. Are there any questions or comments? One thing that would be a good thing to do over the holidays is, if you're out shopping, um, and you're looking at whatever you're looking at, notice the colors that they are. Um, Look at the color combinations of anything that you're looking at, and write down, start a list of colors that you seem to gravitate to, that you like best. The colors you like best are the colors that I think you'll want to design with. because you will enjoy your designing so much more if you're working with colors you like. Or if you like a challenge and to try something new, try some new colors that you've never worked with before. Designing is a good place to try that and try different combinations. And of course, one of the um, best ways to decide on choosing colors is just to go to a site like Handy Hands. I'm going to go to Handy Hand. Whoops. Handy Handouts is where I came up when I typed the name in. Let me go to my computer screen. Uh, you have to play with a proportion between color that looks good. Yes, yes. And you'll have to think about how many colors because of the complexity of the design that you're doing. Um, I should have put Handy Hands. .com. Oh, did I miss the S? And look at the color samples. Handyhands.com. My computer is not wanting to change. Site can't be. All right. Why won't it go? Handyhands look too long to respond. Well, if you look at color, if you go to Handyhands and look at their variegated threads, it's very easy to see. Oh, HH10, that's right. That's right, I'm sorry. Oh my God. I had a feeling today. I have too many days like this that things just. Yes, you can see what colors designers use and how it works. Yes. When you look at the books, yep. The other thing that I find, that I found a design combination that I really liked this morning, is looking on Pinterest. And had a couple different pages open. I'm having trouble seeing now because the sun just started coming through my window and I'm getting such a glare, which means you're going to get a glare. I'm going to give me a second. I'm going to go over and close my blind over here on my deck door. Oh, that won't affect you guys, will it, though? Because you're seeing my computer screen not from my vantage point. Things get to you. I have too many of those days, but I guess as long as you're learning something, that's the important thing. I guess here, this is one that really intrigued me and as well as frustrating me because I do not see where um, the name of the designer or a link to go anyplace on. And this is such a wonderful use of color. You are seeing, yeah, you are seeing this. Okay. Famous painters, museum websites, yes. And how famous painters use colors. Yeah, that's a great place to go, too. And this is a good thing to do. Like what I mentioned during the holidays, if you're busy, but you just need to relax for that few minutes, just open up like Pinterest. I put in, I think I put in tatting with color, and that's how I came up with this page and a couple other ones. But this one I really like. I think this is just so striking, and I'd love to know whose pattern it is. Let me know if you know. Um, and all it is reds and greens, but contrasting with the white, which this design needs that contrast because it's got such an interesting outline. And it just really emphasizes having the um, the darker colors being the outline the outside, and this inside that is a similar shape really really is striking to me. And then you can have something like some people would much prefer something much more um, muted, like these colors. It's a very different feeling. And this one has used the variegated, which works because this is such a simple design. Yeah, it is amazing. It is amazing how it can change and how it can be used to emphasize certain parts of a design. To me, I just get lost. Looks like here's another design with similar type colors. Now notice these. You've got your purples and your blues, which are analogous colors close to each other on the color wheel. And then you've got the green. And I'm trying to picture exactly where green is. It does come in, I think it can come in as an analogous color. Where's my, I don't know if I have any color sites left open here. I probably don't. Let's go and let's just go and find one. Oh, I did have the gems. Here's another thing. I was color and design is where I was looking for different places to find color theory. Find some new ones that I haven't used before. I don't like using the same links every semester. Oh, Shutterstock. I use Shutterstock to get ideas. Here's I think they had a really nice one. Yes, they do have a real nice color. Um, oh, I can't get rid of my bar. Oh, there, my bar down at the bottom. This is a very nice site to read about color. I'm gonna, that should, this should be a link that you should keep. Um, and we can look now, and really the green, they're almost getting close to being opposite on the color wheel, but you still can consider greens a um, this is interesting, an analogous color in some ways, although it's a little too far away from the blue and the purple. But look what we have here, this red violet opposite the bright green. And so here I'm going to put this side by side. Here you see these light purples that are in this motif. And I think this green would almost be a darker shade of kind of like the yellow green. It's a yellow green, but it's kind of muted. And it is almost opposite the purple. And I think this purple in this design um, these all have kind of the same value because it probably would be in this the third row, the third circular ring from the outside. That kind of tone and shade, lightness, value is what I want. Value, if you go around on the same ring, hits the same kind of a purple and the same kind of a blue that is in this design. So not only is this almost opposite on the color wheel, like a complementary color, um, also the values are the same. So that's why it combines so well and looks so harmonious to how harmonious together. Looks like my chat disconnected for a minute. And I betcha if we is this is a it's a variegated color. So that's whoever thread that is, they used values on the same ring of the color wheel to go together. And I think we'll start talking about more. Oh, that's some beautiful blues together, monochromatic colors. Achromatic. I don't think I've ever talked about achromatic. Um, Chroma means color. So if it's achromatic, it's without color. So you're left with white and black and grays. It's Elizabeth thread. Um, is it a tetrad? We haven't got a tetrad. Okay, let's go down to tetrad. Could be. Here's triadic. Um, I guess I should just think about as far as, okay, purple, blue, and yellow. Yeah, they do form a triad. It's not an equilateral um, triadic color. This would be a nice to print out in a document. I don't see that they had a tetrad. But I'm going to look into that and study it. I think it probably is. I know it's a triadic, um, uh, and tetradic is not. I can't get a picture of that in my mind right now. Oh, here it is. Oh no, a tetradic is a double complement. So you'd have four colors, and that only had the three. Um, so I think it would be one of the triadics, just about. It's if this was moved to the right, you'd get the green and the purple, and then you've got the blue next to it. So it's I don't know if it would fit into a specific named one, but it is um, very close to it. It's kind of it's not a split complementary, but it's one of those combinations that works and maybe doesn't have a specific word. It's just very close to one of the things. Now there are some other more than just what's listed in here too. But it'd be fun to look into that farther and see, or see how someone else fits it into one of the categories. Um, so I'm really going to be interested to see what colors you choose, Katia, for your doily. And write down why. I'd love to know, like, why. How did you start? Was there a specific color you started with, or was it something that you saw the colors already put together in an item or somewhere, or a variegated thread that caught your eye? So this, or if you're, or that you chose the colors from. So I think we're going to end today. I know we started late, but it is almost 20 after, so we got about an hour. And we'll start talking about this more next week, and also next week talk about um, maybe think about what areas you would like to. Is there something specific about color or beads that you would like to talk about, um, or just work on make some samples with beads in there. Another thing you can do, like for your own samples, is if you have a design, rather than um, individual tatted samples, um, if you have your tatted pieces printed out, or if you've tatted up somebody else's design for samples, print it out, cut out pieces of that design and put them in. Maybe there's a corner you particularly like on a design that you've tatted on somebody else's. Um, um, Use an image, a printed image of the design. Now, if it's somebody else's pattern, remember to add into your sample column, this is a sample taken from so and so's, the designer's name of their design. So you know later whose it is and where it came from. But you can make a sample book of corners or of any other um, uh, not technique, color sample, bead sample, and just cut out those samples and put them into a collection. Oh, okay. And okay. Oh, that sounds wonderful, Katia. So let's start. as a class, let's start thinking about, well, even these. Print out if you especially like this reminds me, this blue one I've got up reminds me of the ocean, of the sea, water and sand. And maybe purple's in a nice, well, that would be darker for a night sky, but it uh, there are purple colors in shells sometimes. This reminds me of a seascape, a summer seascape. And you could just copy this image. Doesn't give you a copy right there. Oh, it's just a Shutterstock image. Oh, now this one, two on demand. See all image plans. Maybe what I would do then is see if there's a Lisbeth thread or a thread that you have that has these colors in it. Um, I don't know if it's got a save image as. It's for a museum showcase on old fibercraft. Okay. Oh, that'll be wonderful, Katia. So, anyway, that's it for today. I'm so glad that both of you came. I hope there are others of you out there watching this. Hope you enjoyed the class. Write down any questions or comments that you think of through the week and ask them or mention them next week. I will see you all next week then. And then that'll be the last class until January. So bye bye for now. See you next